The challenge begins. The galaxy was watching. In the grand hall of the Virex Empire, leaders from dozens of alien worlds stood silent as a massive screen lit up, showing their new fleet. The ships were enormous, black steel monsters with glowing red lines running across their armor. The announcer's voice echoed, "Unbreakable, unstoppable, invincible." They called it the next step in war technology. Armor so strong no known weapon could break it, energy beams could not burn through it, plasma cannons could not melt it, missiles could not even scratch it. The Virex Emperor smiled from his throne, confident in his empire's power. For years they had crushed every rebellion, silenced every rival, and ruled the galaxy without fear. On Earth, the broadcast was playing in a dark military room deep under Mars. High-ranking officers sat around a long table, their faces unreadable. General Cole leaned forward, his voice low. They think they've won before the fight even starts. Beside him, Admiral Reyes tapped a finger on the table. They believe nothing can pierce that armor. The room stayed quiet for a moment, the only sound coming from the soft hum of machines. Then Reyes gave a small smile. We'll show them what they forgot. Physics doesn't care about pride. Hidden far away from public eyes, in a black hangar buried under layers of rock, engineers worked around a massive machine. It was long, sleek, and deadly, its barrel stretching across the entire room. The humans had been building it for years, keeping it a secret from every alien eye. It wasn't a laser or a missile launcher. It was something far older and yet more advanced, a railgun. It used pure electromagnetic force to hurl solid metal projectiles at unimaginable speed, fast enough to punch through mountains, fast enough to tear a hole through the strongest armor ever made. When the Virex declared war, I expected Earth to beg for mercy. Instead, the Human Council approved a single mission, not an invasion, not a giant fleet, just one ship. The HSS Leviathan. Its captain, Commander Eric Kane, was known for never losing a battle. He stood on the bridge looking at the stars ahead, his crew silent around him. They all knew what they were carrying, and they all knew what would happen when they fired it for the first time in war. Meanwhile, the Virex fleet moved toward human space, thousands of alien warships, all wearing the new armor. Their admiral laughed when he saw the human response. One lone cruiser. "This is all they send?" he mocked to his officers. "One ship against the Empire?" The alien crew laughed, sure the battle would be over in minutes. But in the dark bridge of the Leviathan, no one was laughing. Commander Kane stood still, his eyes locked on the enemy fleet displayed on the holographic screen. "Range?" he asked. 15,000 kilometers, his tactical officer replied. "Load round one," Kane ordered. The ship's core rumbled as the railgun charged, magnetic coils heating up. The crew could feel the deep vibration under their feet. One of the younger crew members swallowed hard. "Sir, this will work, right?" Kane didn't look away from the screen. "It's not about working. It's about ending this before it begins." The Virex fleet continued to close in, their weapons charging. Then, at Kane's signal, the Leviathan fired. There was no bright laser beam, no exploding missile trail, just a blur. A solid slug of tungsten ripping through space faster than the eye could follow. The enemy flagship was hit dead center. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then the entire ship split in half, the slug exiting the other side like the armor wasn't even there. A massive explosion followed, tearing the once proud flagship into drifting pieces. Silence filled the Virex fleet. Every alien on every ship stared at their screens, the unbreakable armor, broken in a single shot. The Admiral's smile vanished, his voice shaking as he barked orders to fire, but the humans had already reloaded. The railgun fired again, and another warship was cut in two. The Virex formation fell into chaos, their confidence replaced by panic. Back on Earth, the military command center watched the battle feed. No one cheered, no one spoke. General Cole simply said, "They know now." The test was over. The message had been sent. Humanity wasn't just ready for war. They were ready to end it. Far away in the dark void of space, the Leviathan turned slowly, the railgun still glowing from the heat of its last shot. Commander Kane looked at his crew. "We're not here to destroy them all," he said quietly. "Just to make sure they never forget what happens when you threaten Earth, the first strike." The wreck of the Virex flagship drifted slowly in space, its broken armor plates glowing from the heat. For the first time in decades, the Virex fleet had stopped moving. Their admiral stood frozen on the bridge, staring at the impossible image on his screen, the pride of their empire, gone in one shot. Around him, his officers whispered in disbelief, their voices shaking. Nothing should be able to do that, one muttered. But the humans didn't give them time to recover. On the Leviathan, the crew worked fast. The Railguns' magnetic coils were already cooling. The next tungsten slug loaded into the chamber. Commander Kane's voice was calm. Target the next largest ship, fire on my mark. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Everyone on that bridge knew this was history being written. The Virex admiral finally snapped out of his shock. Full attack! He roared. Their ships lit up with energy, plasma bolts and laser beams filling the void. But the Leviathan danced through space, its engines twisting the ship in sharp, unnatural movements. Human pilots had trained for years in maneuvers alien computers could never predict. Shots that should have hit were missing by kilometers. Mark, Kane ordered. The second slug fired, invisible to the eye, unstoppable to any armor. It passed clean through the Virex battleship, punching holes in its engines and splitting its spine. The massive ship broke apart, fire and debris scattering into the void. 2 shots, 2 kills. The alien fleet was unraveling. The comms crackled with intercepted enemy transmissions. Retreat, one voice screamed. No, regroup and focus fire, another shouted desperately. But fear was spreading faster than orders could be given. The Virex had ruled through fear for centuries. Now they were tasting it themselves. On the Leviathan, Kane's eyes scanned the battlefield. Stay on them, he told his helm officer. We'll keep striking until they understand. The third shot was fired and another warship fell. Each impact was a message. Your armor means nothing. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the battle feed was being broadcast live. Neutral planets, rebel factions, even old enemies of Earth were watching. They saw the Virex armor, once a symbol of power, being torn apart like cheap scrap, and they began to whisper, maybe the humans could change the balance of the galaxy. The Virex admiral clenched his fists. He knew if they retreated now, the Empire's image would shatter, but if they stayed, they would lose everything. The humans were not just winning, they were making it look easy. On the Leviathan, the crew didn't smile, didn't cheer. They knew this wasn't the end of the war, only the first warning. Commander Kane watched another Virex cruiser explode in silence. We're not here for glory, he reminded them. We're here to make sure no one thinks about attacking Earth again. The Virex fleet began to pull back, ships breaking formation. Some tried to cover the retreat, others simply fled. But Kane gave no chase. He turned the Leviathan slowly toward human space, the railgun cooling. The battle was over, for now, but the message had been sent across the stars, and somewhere, deep inside the Virex capital, their emperor sat in silence. For the first time in his reign, he wondered if the Empire's armor was nothing more than a lie, the weapon revealed. The Virex retreat had shaken the galaxy. In bars, markets, and shadowy meeting rooms, aliens spoke in hushed voices about the humans' mysterious weapon. Some said it was magic. Others claimed it was stolen technology from a lost civilization. But those who had seen the battle knew one thing. It was unlike anything in the galaxy. On Earth, the Railgun's existence was still a closely guarded secret. Only a handful of engineers, military leaders, and political officials truly understood its design. In a secured facility on Luna, engineers in dark jumpsuits worked day and night on upgrades. They were not celebrating the first victory. They were already thinking about the next war. Dr. Evelyn Hart, the chief weapons scientist, stood over a glowing blueprint. This is just the prototype, she told her team. The next version will make the Leviathan look like a toy. But secrecy was hard to maintain. The Virex sent spies into human territory, hoping to steal the weapon's design. Some came disguised as traitors. Others hacked into data networks from orbit. Not one of them succeeded. The humans had expected this. Their security was as impenetrable as their shots were unstoppable. In the Virex War Council, the mood was grim. Generals argued over how to counter the railgun. Build thicker armor, one suggested. No, another hissed. They will just punch through it. The Emperor slammed his fist on the table. I want answers. What is this weapon? He roared. But no one could give him an answer he liked. Meanwhile, in the depths of Mars Base Gamma, Commander Kane was being debriefed. The room was dim, lit only by the glowing holographic image of the destroyed Virex flagship. 3 confirmed kills, 0 human losses, the officer said. Scrolling through the battle report, Kane simply nodded. You know this won't be the last time we face them, the officer added. I'm counting on it, Kane replied, his voice calm but his eyes cold. Across the galaxy, fear turned into desperation. The Virex began funding secret projects, racing to develop weapons that could match the Railgun's speed, but they were chasing shadows. The humans had built something based not on exotic alien tech, but on raw, unstoppable physics. A force so simple, so direct, that no shield could bend it, no armor could resist it. The galaxy's most powerful empires had always believed in energy weapons. Bright, clean, efficient beams of destruction. They forgot that sometimes the oldest weapons, when taken to their extreme, were the deadliest. And now, one human ship had reminded them of that truth. But in the Virex capital, another idea was forming. If they couldn't stop the railgun, maybe they could destroy it before it fired again. Whispers of an assassination plot began to spread. The target, Commander Eric Kane, the man who commanded the Leviathan, the deadliest trap. The Virex were desperate. If they could not stop the railgun by force, they would try to kill its wielder. Hidden in the shadows of a dying star system, a secret fleet waited. Ambush ships cloaked in darkness, silent and deadly. Their orders: capture or kill Commander Eric Kane and the Leviathan. Commander Kane sensed the danger before the alarms rang. His ship's sensors detected strange energy signatures. Signals too faint to be normal. Prepare for sudden attack, he told his crew calmly. The Leviathan slipped into battle mode, shields powering up, engines humming with quiet power. The Virex trap struck fast, dozens of warships urged from nowhere, lasers cutting through space, missiles streaking like shooting stars. The Leviathan's railgun couldn't fire, not yet, not while surrounded. Kane ordered evasive maneuvers, twisting the ship through asteroid fields and nebula clouds. Human pilots danced with death, dodging blasts that would have torn other ships apart. The Virex were confident. They thought their numbers and armor would crush the lone human ship. But Kane knew better. He waited for the perfect moment. As the Virex fleet closed in, Kane gave the order. Charge the railgun, all power to the magnetic coils. The ship trembled as the weapon roared to life. In a flash, the railgun fired. A single round raced through space. Invisible but unstoppable. It struck the lead Virex cruiser dead center. The enemy ship exploded in a brilliant fireball, debris scattering like stars. Panic spread through the Virex ranks. Kane took the chance. Fire at will, he commanded. One by one, railgun shots tore through the Virex ships. The ambush fleet crumbled under the storm of unstoppable metal slugs. Even their armor could not save them. In the chaos, a smaller Virex vessel tried to slip past. Its target was clear, the Leviathan's bridge. But Kane's second-in-command was ready. She fired a precise plasma burst, disabling the attacker before it could reach them. The battle was fierce but brief. When the last Virex ship exploded, silence returned. Kane looked at his crew, tired but unbroken. We survived because we fought smart and stayed calm, he said. But this war is far from over. Across the galaxy, the legend of the railgun and its fearless captain grew. Enemies whispered warnings in fear. Allies found new hope, and the Virex knew. If they wanted to win, they had to change everything, because Earth was no longer a planet to conquer. It was a force no armor could hold back. The Virex retaliation, the Virex Empire was furious. Their fleet shattered and pride broken by a single human ship. They could no longer hide behind their so-called Unbreakable A. Or more, in a massive shipyard hidden behind a gas giant, they began building their greatest fleet yet. Thousands of warships, each thicker, stronger, and deadlier than before. The Emperor himself watched the work, his eyes burning with rage. We will crush the humans, he promised his generals. No weapon, no armor, no trick will save them. Back on Earth, Commander Kane and his crew prepared for the coming storm. The Leviathan was not alone anymore. Earth had launched a fleet, ships armed with railguns, plasma cannons, and new defenses designed to protect against any attack. The humans did not fear the Virex. They knew their technology and their will were stronger. The battle began near the asteroid belt. Virex warships poured from hidden bases, their numbers overwhelming. But humans fought with skill and strategy. Kane's fleet moved like a storm, striking fast and retreating before the enemy could respond. Railgun shots tore through the Virex armor like lightning. Ships exploded in fireballs that lit the darkness of space. The Virex tried to adapt. They launched new drones and experimental weapons, but every attack was met with a faster, smarter human response. Kane's crew worked without rest, their eyes sharp, their hands steady. They knew each shot could change the fate of the war. On the Virex flagship, frustration grew. Generals shouted orders, but the humans seemed always one step ahead. "We cannot lose," the Emperor yelled. "If we do, the galaxy will laugh at us forever." But deep down, even he feared the truth. The humans had changed the rules of war, and no armor could stop what came next. The battle raged for days. Explosions echoed across the void. Both sides suffered losses, but the humans held their ground. In a daring move, Kane led a strike directly at the Virex command ship. With precise railgun fire, they disabled the enemy's shields and weapons. Chaos spread among the Virex ranks. Their emperor ordered retreat. When silence returned, the battlefield was littered with the remains of mighty warships. The Virex Empire was shaken to its core, but Kane knew the war was not over yet. "This victory is just the beginning," he told his crew. "We have shown the galaxy that no armor is safe from human power." The last defense. The Virex Empire was cornered, their greatest fleet destroyed, their pride in ruins, their homeworld wrapped in the thickest armor ever built, cities covered by energy shields that shimmered like diamonds. They prepared for the final battle, determined to stop the humans at any cost. On Earth, the Leviathan and its fleet readied their weapons. The railguns were upgraded, more powerful than ever. Commander Kane studied the plans of the Virex defenses. He knew the enemy expected a slow, cautious attack, but humans were not predictable. The battle began with thunder. The Virex unleashed everything: plasma storms, missile barrages, energy blasts that turned space into fire. But the humans moved fast and struck harder. Railgun shots tore through shields and armor alike. One shot after another smashed through the Virex defenses. The humans aimed not to destroy cities, but to break the enemy's will. Deep in the heart of the Virex capital, the Emperor watched his world fall apart. He knew the humans had one weapon left, a super weapon so powerful it could end the war in a single strike. The humans called it the Earthbreaker, a massive railgun mounted on a supercarrier. It fired a projectile the size of a mountain, capable of destroying entire planets. Commander Kane stood on the deck of the Earthbreaker. The weapon charged slowly, humming with raw energy. His voice was steady as he gave the order. "Fire!" The projectile shot into space, a blazing comet racing toward the Virex homeworld. The impact was catastrophic. The planet shook, mountains crumbled, oceans boiled, the armor cracked and shattered. The Virex capital was no more. The war was over. The galaxy was silent. Earth had shown the power of its railguns. Not just weapons, but symbols of human strength and determination. A new dawn. The dust settled over the broken world. Silent stars watched as the Virex Empire crumbled. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. Earth had changed everything. No longer just a planet, but a symbol of power and hope. Commander Kane stood before a crowd of leaders from many worlds, the scars of war still fresh on his face. His voice was calm but firm. "We did not destroy to conquer," he said. "We fought to protect what is ours, to remind the galaxy that no armor can stop the will of humanity." Alien representatives nodded, some with respect, others with fear. The message was clear. Earth would defend itself, but it would also stand ready for peace. A new council was formed, one where humans and aliens could meet, talk, and solve problems without war. But peace was fragile. Old enemies still lurked in the shadows. Commander Kane knew the railgun was not just a weapon. It was a warning, a promise that Earth would never be weak again. As the sun rose over a new era, humans looked to the stars with hope and strength, their railguns silent for now, but ready for whatever came next.